What's up, everybody? I'm Chris Dailey, founder of the Sports Court, joined here by a former Premier League player, a Canadian national team player, none other than Simeon Alexander. So, Simeon, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, man. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, no worries. So, you were born in Kingston, Jamaica, and moved to Canada at a relatively young age, and you didn't start playing soccer, I read, until about 9 years old, which is considered late nowadays. So, what was your youth career like in Canada up to the point you moved to England?
My youth career in Canada was it was fun. I just loved playing when I was a kid, and I always had these kind of aspirations of wanting to play professionally, and had these dreams of maybe playing in England one day, playing in the Premier League, watching it on TV and stuff. And I just got obsessed with it, got obsessed with the game, and just tried to work hard and learn. And lucky enough, had a chance to move over to England and pursue the dream. So I'm one of the real lucky ones.
Yeah, it's really crazy what happened to you, because I'm your age when you moved to England. I can't imagine moving across the seas right now. So you're age 15 and you moved to England alongside your grandmother while working at a McDonald's just to make a little bit of money on the side. So what does your grandmother mean to you, and how is that transition both on and off the field to England?
Oh man, it was as you say, when I look back on it now, and I'm here talking to you, you're 15, and I look back and I was making a jump of, moving to a different continent, and a new country, new lifestyle, culture, everything was just different. She's actually my grand aunt, so she's my grandmother's sister, but she was exactly like a grandmother, and took me in, and was tough on me, but it really helped me, because not only was I learning and adapting, but I had to make sure I was behaving myself, and she was the one that said to me, even though I did want to pursue my dream of being a professional, I had to go out and work, because it wasn't happening for me yet. So she was a big support for me in my earlier careers.
Yeah, and I know back in the day, obviously America and Canada as a collective unit have come a long ways, but you made a really high risk there and you got high reward with everything that's happened to you. But there wasn't many opportunities back then, so looking back on it, it must have been a great decision. So you joined Rushden Diamonds in 2004. I know they had some memorable battles with Wycombe Wanderers. That's my favorite team. And I know just 5 years ago, the Wycombe Ball Boy was actually included in the celebration, and it caught a bunch of social media buzz. And that was against Rushden Diamonds. So
Yeah.
how was your first professional season? And you scored 20 goals in the 06-07 season. So how was that transition to the professional game?
Oh man, well, first that's an awesome question, because not many people know about especially in the young generation, know about Rushden Diamonds, and what kind of a club they were. They were an amazing club. It gave me my first chance in professional football, and I'll forever be in debt to them, because just being able to have that opportunity and be training every day in a professional environment, watching a first team play, and it was monumental, and a big part of my learning and development. Just for you to know about them is amazing, because they're out of business now. They're no longer a team.
Yeah.
Obviously compared to Wycombe, who have gone on and playing in the Championship now for the first time in their history is amazing. But unfortunately for Rushden, they had some financial trouble, and they no longer exist. So I it kind of holds a place in my heart, because they were my first professional team, and paved the way for me with getting into the professional game.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you got trials with Manchester United and Man City, and that's when Man
Yeah.
United was at their peak. Fergie was in town, and I don't know if Ronaldo was there then, but if Ronaldo was there, what was it like to play against him in training, and
Oh,
just all those legends all combined in those few sessions you've had with them?
man. Dude, honestly, like, so I'm 16 at the time, and I've just come into professional football in terms of being at a pro club and training every day as a scholar. Um, and a few months into that, Man United come in and say, we want to have a look at you for 2 weeks. And I remember going up there and just thinking, like, whoa, just like looking around, and all the big names were there. You just mentioned, Sir Alex was there, and Rio Ferdinand, Ronaldo was there. Just top players, Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs. And I'm only this little kid, and just being able to walk around the training ground, see these guys, even though I was, training with the youth team and stuff, but just being in the same building and environment was just amazing. And yeah, unfortunately, it didn't work out for me with Man U or Man City. But I learned so much, and just took the experience for what it was, and decided that I'm gonna keep pushing to get to that level. And yeah, it was just an amazing experience.
Yeah, that's absolutely surreal. I can only imagine that because I watch all the highlights of those guys. I love watching that United team and the tiki taka of like 2010, the Barcelona. I can just
Yeah,
watch those guys all day, but that's got to be absolutely insane to play against, be with in the presence of probably the most famous person, I think the most famous person on the planet, Ronaldo. So I don't think people realize he's got like the most Instagram followers.
yeah. It honestly, and at that time, like, so remember, as I'm saying, I'm a young kid. I'm coming through, but I actually remember being in the and it was kind of like at the training ground in like one of the main hallways. And I came out the dressing room, and actually he was stood there. And I just remember him being so tall. Like, I was like, holy, this guy was tall. And I knew who he was, but you just kind of in this like moment where you're like, holy, like that's actually, and yeah, he was a big talent at the time, and I don't think anyone expected him to. I guess if you knew when you were playing against him at the time and stuff, that he'd go on to be a top talent. But yeah, it was just a weird moment of just kind of like starstruck.
And the best story about that too, I love Patrice Evra said it. It was him and ping pong. Him and Ronaldo played ping pong. I don't know if you ever heard that story, but table tennis, I
No,
guess that's the more popular name. Ronaldo
yeah.
lost, so he trained for 2 weeks. He got a ping pong table, and then he just dominated Patrice Evra 2 weeks later. So one thing I love about interviewing you too is you've kind of experienced everything: non-league, Premier League, Championship, promotion battles. And speaking of that last one, when you were at Norwich, you scored the goal that sent them to the Premier League. So describe the intensity and just the atmosphere of that moment when that shot went in. And that was a good ball too. I watched that goal. I'll put it up for people watching this. That
Oh,
that cross was insane, and then your header to cap it off was just amazing.
yeah, dude, it was to try and capture like the intensity and stuff. Like, it's hard to say in words, man. Like, it's something that you spent your whole life working towards. You've trained hard. You've put in the extra hours, and you're now at this level where there's so much more to be done. And every day you just go in and you just work as hard as you can. And we just were in a great you know vein of form. The team was just, we were so well knit, and knew each other's strengths, and it was just the best team I've played in. And we just went into games with this confidence, knowing what we had to do and knowing we could do it. And that last game, going into the build up, we needed to win. We knew if we won that we were going to the Premier League. But in those moments, I always learned beforehand that just play the game, not the occasion. So you try and just take out what it all means and just focus on what I need to do right now. And yeah, just went out there, did our best, and yeah, as you say, that ball, David Fox played it to me, and it was just a great ball. And I just remember just before that, I was so tired because I made a run in the channel, and I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm blowing here, like I'm getting tired a little bit, and I had to just kind of bring myself back. And then next thing, the ball comes in, and I just got on the end of it, and the celebrations just were, after that, and getting promoted to the Premier League, knowing that you were going to go and play against your Man U's and your Chelsea's and stuff was just an amazing time.
Yeah, it's great. And I know the championship playoff final, because I was watching it just a few months ago. It's called the richest game in football because of all the money that's at stake with.
Yeah.
It's crazy that I forget what team got relegated, but I was watching something about them. I think it was Sunderland, to be honest with you, the Netflix thing. And I didn't watch that whole thing, but they lost like $160 million in revenue just because of being relegated into the championship.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and that's the beauty of I think the different leagues in England and what it means financially to be at the top level. Not only from a club point of view, but from a player point of view. You get to the top, like that's a massive difference to you and your family, right? So, that game, that it is the richest game in football, and that playoff final. Because everyone knows, players and clubs and fans that you make that jump. You're talking about 100 million plus, going into the club, and parachute payments, and just being able to be in the top league in the world. A lot's weighing on it, right? So it's brilliant, especially for players to play in it. Like it's just a really good experience, and ones that a lot of players, when they do go through it, you get promoted. It's one of the highlights in your career, definitely.
And just a little fun fact, you scored your first Premier League goal on December 20th, and I was actually born on December 20th, so I said it's a truly great day to be alive. Yeah. And you've been to a lot of clubs, so I just kind of want to briefly go through your career here. So after Norwich, after playing in the Premier League, you went to Germany to play in the Bundesliga. So what's the difference both on and off the field from England to Germany?
Oh, there's a lot of difference. Coming into the English, academy system, from 15, 16, and, learning the game that way, you understand the way of playing, the style of playing, the culture, the background, the fans, the clubs, everything. Going to another country where, it's all different, like Germany play a lot of different ways tactically. It's a robust league, the Bundesliga. And I just remember going over there thinking, okay, I've played Premier League, like, I've got a good upbringing, coming through the leagues, and I know what it is to work hard and graft for it. But the workload in Germany was just completely different, and the detail was just completely different. And the first few months, I was just shocked. I was blown away. I had some kind of insight into it from a couple of my teammates that had played in Germany, and were like, dude, like training's different, like off the field's different. But then until you go in and really experience it, you don't really know. But yeah, I learned so much from playing out there, and enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, it's great. And Germany's known for its crazy fans, too. England's got the banter, they say, and Germany's got, like, the tifos and all the fireworks that you see, so it's...
Dude, the fan support in Germany is, like, you wouldn't believe, man. Just how they organize and coordinate, and, like, just the... I remember we played, for Braunschweig, we played against Hanover in a derby, and... the whole build-up was just like next level. I've never experienced anything like this. Like there was a dead pig outside the hotel when we got there, and like fans were going crazy, fire, all this stuff. And I was on the bench for the game, and I remember going to warm up in front of the ultras, which are like the the main fans, right? So going and warming up, and they're behind me, so I'm facing the pitch, I'm facing the field. Fans are behind me. And I just remember it just kind of went quiet in the stadium, and I heard like these keys jingling. I'm like warming up with one of my teammates, and I'm like, do you hear that? Like, what's going on? And literally before it came out, I just remember seeing like loads of fans and all that because they're going crazy. And by the time I warmed up, facing the pitch, did a few stretches, heard these keys jingling. I turn around and the whole stand is full of like fans in like black balaclavas on, and these keys jingling. And I've never been so scared in a football stadium in my life. I literally ran back to the bench and sat my butt down on the bench. I was like, I'm not coming out until halftime. Like, forget this, man. It was a really different experience.
That's amazing. I always see Borussia Dortmund too, and the yellow wall, that's what it's called. Klopp, I just saw the video yesterday. Klopp in his last game is going to the yellow wall. You can't even see a single person because it's just a cloud of people like all congested into that, and they got the flags everywhere. The only time I've ever seen anything relatively close to that was in Atlanta. I went to the Atlanta United, and they have these crazy fans too. It was 73,000 people because it was the MLS Cup final, and I won these tickets in a giveaway. So I said I'm 27. I said I'm 27. I was 12 at the time, so it was like 3 years ago. I won, and sure enough, they allowed me to go with my dad, and it was just crazy though. But I can only imagine because I bet you Germany's that times 10, and that seemed pretty surreal to me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I haven't been to Atlanta Stadium, and I've heard a friend of mine who actually I played in Germany with. He played for Atlanta, Kevin Kratz, and he was just saying how he loved it out there, and the atmosphere was just amazing. And yeah, just imagine that probably times 10, man. Like that the Dortmund wall you're talking about, like, yeah, you just see it's huge. It's huge. And yeah, going to places like the Allianz Arena and stuff, like, yeah, it's next level stuff, man. And yeah, hopefully, if when things change and stuff, to anyone that can get out and take in some of those atmospheres around the world, hopefully we'll get back to that. But it's it's something definitely to witness for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely my lifelong dream, to go to Europe for like a few weeks or whatever and see some games there. But I know you've done that. You've been playing. It's crazy, and you played at a lot of clubs the past 3 to 5 years. And we're talking about all these grounds. You played at clubs like Blackburn, which is known for its iconic. I think in the 70s they were like making the Champions League, and other clubs such as Kilmarnock in Scotland. You just played for Stevenage recently. What's the coolest ground you played at the past 3 to 5 years?
Wow. In the last few years, I think the biggest standout for me has been playing in Scotland, definitely. I think I kind of experienced, a lot of the grounds playing in England previous to that. As they're saying, playing in the Premier League and Championship, League One, League Two, the Conference, you get a good feel of, small grounds and big grounds. But then going to Scotland and playing at, Celtic Park, playing at Ibrox, where, Rangers play. And, just going and getting a taste of those big clubs that, people, I never really appreciated how big the Rangers Celtic derby was, and just because I was living in Glasgow at the time playing for St. Mirren. And you just got a feel for what it actually meant to all the fans and just the whole country, really, between those two. And yeah, just, getting a taste of that, and then obviously playing against them as well. And yeah, I think so for me, that's been the standout in the last few years. But yeah, I mean, I've just been lucky, man, to have had the career that I've had, and playing in these great countries and stadiums and playing against these big teams.
And Rushden Diamonds, you said, went bankrupt. I know the Rangers had a problem just a few years ago, and now they're back at it. And Stevie G's in town doing some good things there. They're 21 points ahead in the league title. Because I actually watched the Old Firm Derby this year, and it's so weird because I've seen it one other time with fans, and now without fans, it still has that. It's just so different. The magnitude just doesn't feel, right.
Yeah, you're right, man. Like, it's totally opposite. If you think about how many fans would be in that stadium and what it means to the locals, for them not to be able to go into the ground and support them on Old Firm Day, must have been crazy. And yeah, it takes a bit of a sting out of the occasion, but the players definitely would have, it was different, in those kind of games, whether the fans are there or not, they know what it means to the club. So yeah, but it's just so weird watching it. I was lucky enough to go and watch Norwich City play the other day, and yeah, no fans being there. I was doing some commentary, but it's just completely different. But yeah, hopefully it'll get back to normal soon. But yeah, definitely a different experience for sure.
How do you like it in the booth? That's got to be a bit of a change.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. I enjoyed it. I never actually realized how much work is actually involved with, commentating or, analyzing a game, because I'm so just used to either playing or watching it. So for me, I was caught between moments of just watching it and letting the other guy do all the talking. But yeah, you have to chip in, right? So yeah, it was different, but I enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll be able to do more of that, in the future. But my focus is still playing for sure.
Yeah, and kind of wrapping up, I have a lot of, pretty much my whole viewership is American. I do have a good amount of English people as well, but not a lot of people know about how the system works in England, and it's obviously harder for Americans to kind of come to a grip of it because we don't have promotion, relegation, or anything. Personally, I don't think we should, but that's a whole other topic, because a lot of people say add it, but my local team plays at a maybe 500-seater high school stadium. If that team gets into MLS, I'm sorry, that just can't happen. They can't even afford it. So all the players are amateurs and stuff. Can you just describe the pyramid in England, kind of from the 6th tier up? Because I don't want to get into all the county leagues and stuff.
Yeah, it's very intricate, from the lower leagues. As you're talking about maybe your local team. So obviously we know, you've got your Premier League, which is the top league, and then you got the Championship, which we were talking about, the richest game in football to get promoted, richest game in soccer to get promoted to the Premier League. But then below that, you've got, League One, and then you've got League Two. And it's a big thing for, especially in League One and League Two, because if you're able to do well and get promoted, you're going up to the Championship, and financially the rewards, as we spoke about, are amazing. But so every year you've got 3 teams that are gonna fight it out to get promotion, and 3 teams that are 2 or 3 teams that are fighting to stay in the league that could potentially get relegated. And that setup it just changes everything, because you're going into the back end of the season knowing that you're playing for all the marbles here. Especially I've been in at clubs where we're fighting relegation, and it's intense. It's a lot of pressure. My most recent one was with St. Mirren in the Scottish Premier League. We were bottom of the league for most of the season. We knew it was going to be tough, and it came down to the last game and a penalty shootout for us to stay in the league. And when people think, okay, well, what's the difference between getting promoted and or getting relegated and staying in the league? Like, there's people that are locally working for the clubs that been there for years, and if your team gets relegated, people are losing their jobs. There's cutbacks, and you're missing out on contracts. The team changes, the manager leaves. So there's so many different things that are involved from getting promoted and getting relegated. And I think as you work it down to from League Two, which is the lowest level of professional football, below that you've got the conference, and there's some decent teams in the conference, some big clubs in the conference now. You've got like Yeovil, who are in there, who been in the league for how many years and are now dropped down to that level. You've got Torquay, Leyton Orient. Like, you've got loads of usually league clubs that are down there, and it's intense. And for them to get promoted back into League Two would just be immense for them as a club, and financially, the rewards. So compared to Canada and the MLS and the USL and stuff, it's different, because players don't really have that that pressure. Clubs don't really have that pressure, right? So it makes the league and the seasons a bit different. And, ideally, I think, further down the line, you'd like to see that come in because it gives clubs that, I think in the MLS, especially if you've got the money financially, you'll, buy your way into the league in terms of getting a franchise and stuff. But, if you've got a team in, the USL that can go on a good run in a season and get promoted to like the MLS, that'd be crazy. And like you're saying, locally, like, if they're playing at a 2,000 seater stadium, it's going to be a big difference. But that's what you have over here. You've got teams that, who don't have that big backing of local support and fans and stuff, but could potentially work their way up to the Premier League, like a Bournemouth or, clubs like that. So it's it makes it a lot more interesting, and I hope North America, gets a grip of it like that and tries to set up that kind of system.
Yeah, and I think you kind of got it spot on too, because I always want them to get it, obviously, but the problem is in the MLS, you buy into the league, you have to pay, say, $300 million. David Beckham had a cut because when he signed for Galaxy, he actually had like a clause that he got a discount. Yeah. So you got this nice discount to put Inter Miami in the league, but you buy into the league, you're not actually, and when you buy into the league, then you can get a team. And that's the issue, because if you get relegated, then you technically own the league, but you don't, it all sorts of mess. But there's a lot of people wanting it, especially now that MLS has 30-some teams with all these new teams coming in. And it's kind of crazy, but I think they're just trying to Americanize it as much as they can so Americans can get a like of it, because NFL has 32. Every major sport has above 30 teams, except the soccer, which isn't considered a major sport here. So,
yeah, I know, right? But as you're saying, man, it is a lot to think about, and I think the MLS as a business is brilliant. If you can get a consortium or a group to spend that money to bring a team to a city or a state, that's brilliant. But in terms of getting that competitive edge, having that fight for promotion and relegation, that just brings a whole different intensity to the games.
It hurt us big time.
I think they're kind of missing out on that.
It hurt us big time in the World Cup qualifiers because, as you know, America didn't qualify. I think Canada qualified in 2014, and you got you got a hat trick in that one qualifying game.
Yeah, that was years ago, man. Yeah, we were close. We've never actually. Yeah. That's been one of my kind of stumps for international football. Is like we've never actually qualified for the World Cup, and I think the last time Canada was in the World Cup was 1980. I want to say, is it 6? Yeah. But so it's something that every Canadian's kind of wants to happen and is looking forward to the next time that does happen. But qualifying and playing for your country is it's an amazing thing, and it does become frustrating when you're not kind of qualifying for the big tournaments, and and for the US as well. I know there's a lot of pressure on you guys. I think as a nation, you guys have this expectation to go and do well, in tournaments because of the success you guys have had over the years. So that does bring a lot of pressure. But it's good to see the North, the CONCACAF countries do well, in qualifying for the World Cup and doing well in World Cup. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, and now that everybody knows about the pyramid, I just got a few rapid fire questions. I'm sorry to keep you on so long,
sure.
But it's been
no, dude, I'm here, man. I'm good.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is West Indian food. So, I was born in Jamaica. I got Jamaican heritage, so definitely the Caribbean dishes for me.
Nike or Adidas?
I'm a Nike guy.
Yeah, same. What's the? Went over that. So, went over both of those. I was about to say, what's the best ground in Scotland, but we kind of mentioned that. So, best player you've played with on a team?
Oh, best player I've played with, man. There's two that stands out. The first one is Atiba Hutchinson, who plays for Besiktas, Canadian legend, just an unreal player. And the next, Wes Houlihan, who I played with for Norwich. He was just unbelievable talent.
Describe yourself using 3 words.
I would say resilient. I would say determined and easygoing.
And here's a big one. Who's going to win the Prem this year?
Oh, big question, man. Do you see what's going on over here? Yeah. Who knows? Who knows, man?
Not looking good, so.
Any of those top 4, I think just based on how the season's going and what's, who knows what's going to happen. Like, a team could turn up with, 10 COVID cases and not be able to play their strongest team. So, I don't know, man. Who do I want to win it? I've got a thing for United at the minute, just because of all the the hassle that they've gone through over the last few years, and managers and all that, and players, and if they can get it right and win the league, would be great for them. But people are estimating like Leicester or like obviously Man City are picking up form. So, dude, to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know who's going to win the league.
Leicester wins, that'd be insane. And I interviewed Christian Fuchs, who actually is a starting left back. So, because he actually owns something in New York, a soccer facility there.
Awesome.
And now, you've played in some good kits. I saw one with Stevenage. I know Stevenage has a Burger King sponsorship.
Burger King.
Yeah. So, what's the best kit you've ever played in?
Any team that I've played in that's got like white shorts, man. I'm a Real Madrid fan, so I had this thing of wanting to play in a full white kit. So we had a full white kit at Norwich once, and St. Mirren, we had like white shorts and black and white. So yeah, any kit that has that kind of anything close to the Real Madrid white kit, was my favorite.
Yeah, and the last 2 are pretty life-provoking questions here. So, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
The best advice I've ever been given was actually from my dad, and it didn't come until maybe like 5 years ago. And I never listened to my dad for anything until he started talking to me like this. But he basically told me, he said, play the ball at its own merit. And it was kind of like we were talking about, football, and he plays cricket, and he was like, yeah, like, you have to play the ball at its own merit. And for me, I just was blown by it, because it applies to like everything in life, like, just being present, and just, you've got so many ideas, and you're expecting things to happen certain ways, but when you're actually just playing life or playing the game as it comes to you, what's happening, you're able to respond and react and play your next move just from what you see. So yeah, play the ball at its own merit was the biggest big life message that I got from my dad.
Now, lastly, define happiness.
Define
happiness.
Happiness?
Yeah.
Happiness is whatever you say it is, man. Happiness it's a choice. In any moment, you can choose to be happy. So that can change from person to person, situation to situation, and is literally whatever you say it is. So your happiness will be different from my happiness, or it could be the same. It's just whatever we say it is.
It's a good answer, because I love asking that one, because a lot of times people have the same answer for some of the questions, but that one was definitely one that most people have different outlooks on. And anyways, everybody, if you want to go follow, I don't know how many social medias you have, but Instagram, Twitter, everything's linked in the bio. And
nice.
I just thank you for coming on. It was great talking to you, and you're very informative, and all the stories you have just absolutely nuts and very personable. That's the biggest thing. I'm not the biggest fan of interviewing somebody that gives me 2-word answers, but you're definitely not that person. So thank you so much, Simeon, for doing this, and I really appreciate it.
No, awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Anytime, man. You're doing some great stuff. Love what you're doing, man. So keep going, and good luck. And anytime, man. Give me a shout.
Yeah, thank you. And everybody, I'm Chris Dailey from the Sports Court, signing off.